Sharlene Mawdsley, thanks for joining us here today. We're in a bit of a unique location this morning.
Yeah, for sure. We're here in Zagreb. We're celebrating World Hunger Day, so I'm really excited that you got to step in for the day. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun here, and promoting a good cause is why I'm here. And yeah.
Perfect. We'll touch on that a bit more in a second. But first of all, a phenomenal season for yourself. Too many achievements, even nearly to name.
No, thanks so much. Yeah, it was definitely my best season to date. It's not often I finish a season and I'm actually proud of myself. So this year I'm really proud of myself and everything I was able to achieve. So yeah, World Championships was obviously the highlight. I think it got great recognition around the country, and I'm really grateful for that so many Irish people got on board and backed us. And yeah, it was really amazing.
It's interesting there you say not often that you're proud of yourself after a season. What do you think clicked this year that just hadn't before?
I think I was trusting myself a little bit more. Like, I was definitely backing the training that I had done, whereas before I was kind of going into races and I was really scared to race the girls I was against because I really looked up to them. And this year I felt like, okay, like, you've done the hard work as well, so why can you not just step on the track and be as confident as those girls? So I think that was something that I just believed in myself this year. And that came down to a big team. It wasn't that it just happened overnight. I worked hard with a sports psychologist, and my S&C coach and my coach, they really helped me as well. So it's a big team that helped me actually believe in myself. So
interesting. So it's kind of like reframing your own position amongst all the other athletes too.
Yeah, exactly. Because before I used to go to races, and in the warm-up I would already be beaten because I would be looking at other girls and I'd be like, wow, she does that drill and I don't, so she's going to beat me today. And I wasn't really going to go far in the sport if I kept that mindset. So we reflected at all the things that I had done wrong, which there was a lot more wrongs than rights that I used to do at competitions. But yeah, now it's just trust in myself. Like, I still get super nervous, that's the norm, but I just realised that I'm really blessed to be in the position that I'm in. So I just go to every competition now and know that I've done the training, and whatever happens, happens.
So when you take the pressure off yourself even early, and then it kind of clicks into gear then?
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, I think you run your race and then you forget about it the next day, whereas before I would be dwelling on it for weeks, and in the meantime I'd have 3 other races. So I was already beat before I'd start. But now it's just trusting myself and going from there.
Well, it seems to have worked anyways. You mentioned the World Championships there. Was that the highlight for you?
Yeah, definitely. I even ran a PB after the World Championships. I had one race.
I have that coming up as well.
Which was actually funny, because you would think that running the fastest time of your life was the highlight. But I think Worlds was just such a nice competition for me. I did the mixed relay and we kicked off with coming 6th in the final. And I think for me that just took all the pressure off. I was like a nervous wreck for the heats. I was like, no one speak to me. Like, it wasn't that. I was so chill. And then once we got to the final, it was just amazing. That was a bonus for me. We came 6th, which was the highest global finish we had ever had. And then I was up the next morning at, I think, like 9 o'clock for my individual, and then I had ran my PB at the time, and I actually remember seeing the HerSport Twitter and was like, she's still in, she's in the hot room. It was just so funny because I was having a great time there. My coach was like, it literally looked like you were out tanning. Like, it was mad. But then we had the women's relay, and we defied a lot of odds against that, and we ended up qualifying for the final, and that was just amazing. Just the girls that we did it with, like, we were just all, I don't think I've ever been so happy in my life, and the girls were so happy, and we had the whole backing from the country, which was just so surreal. So it was definitely my highlight.
That's actually something I was going to ask you about, because obviously you compete in the individual events nearly year round, and then what's it like to have the difference in the relay, team aspect as well?
Yeah, it's definitely different, because you go from competing against these girls all year to then being on a team together. And I think this year was the year that it really clicked with us, that we're all trying our best to produce what we possibly can. And the better relationship we have with each other, I think the more success we're having. And our relay coach Dave McCarthy, especially in the women's team, has really worked this year. And we come together and we're a group of friends rather than rivals who come together to pass the baton. So I think it's been really good this year.
Interesting. And obviously you had the 6 races as well across that. It must be so difficult to kind of balance all the different expectations and, I suppose, race tactics and all the rest of it as well.
Yeah, I think in Budapest 6 races was I didn't like really think that I would be able to do it, but I got faster in the majority of my races, not the semi-final because I was just wrecked. But when it came to the women's relay, you know, like I was so tired. When the girls told me we qualified, I was like, no, there's no way we did. And they were like, yeah, we did. And then I was like, just thinking, like I was so emotional. I was like, how am I going to run again? Like I didn't know if my legs were going to be able. I was on the physio bed twice a day. You know, it was hard, but I ran my fastest time in the final because you go out and you look around the stadium and you're in you just feel so surreal. Like the Irish chant that we had, it was just, when I said Ireland in lane, I can't even remember what lane we were in, Sophie would know better, but it was just, the crowd was huge. It was like we were from Budapest. So it was just really, really amazing.
How do you temper those expectations then? Because I know you've mentioned, let's say, the Twitter account, and I mean, that's small in the grand scheme of things, but obviously like all of this is kind of building and there's excitement and all the rest of it. How do you kind of deal with that, and then in terms of your racing as well?
Yeah, just working with my sports psychologist is the main thing, because we put things in place that what's good for me, what's not good for me. You know, like I have Twitter deleted off my phone. I have all my notifications turned off when a championship is coming up. So it's just keeping and trusting what you've done. You know, like there's so many coaches, online coaches, that will like to give their opinion, and you know, it's actually my coaches who know what's been done. So it's just going back to them and, you know, speaking to them. Like if I get nervous, I'm like, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. And they're like, do you remember this session you done on this day? Like they'll bring me back to remember, okay, you're able to. So I just shut it out. And then, you know, the second race is over, of course you go on to check. And it's just so nice, like, because when you do good, it's amazing. But I've been on the other side of it, you know, like last year I didn't have a great season. I stepped in for one of the girls in the mixed relay in Eugene, and you know, like I was getting a lot of slate on Twitter. It was not a nice time, but after that I just realised, you know, it's not the be all and end all. You know, what people think at the time, they move on from it. It's not like they're going to judge you forever. And I think it's what made it a little bit sweeter for me this year, because I was able to like really appreciate. I went from the really low lows to like a really high, and I wasn't even fully satisfied with that. You know, I was still really looking forward to more. So
it also probably comes back to as well what you're talking about at the start with the confidence thing. It's like you're gonna get the good with the bad, and like really you should probably try find somewhere in the middle there to kind of balance out at.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I never get carried away with the lows, or I never get carried away with the highs. I just have to keep my feet on the ground, because yeah, I had an amazing season this year, but there's nothing to say if I don't put the work in this year. You know, like it's not going to be that same way next year. And obviously it's a huge year next year. I want to be the best I can, and I'm just going to leave no stone unturned, and that will be the most important thing that I can do. So
one of the highs though was that PB. Let's have a bit of a chat about that. That must be so kind of interesting in one way, because it was coming to the close of your season and then you're hitting the top gear nearly.
Yeah, it was hard, because the week that I was training after Budapest, I was like to my coach every day, I don't want to be here. I do not want to be here. And then I got sick. I had a chest infection. I was on antibiotics, but they were like, you know, are we going to do the race? Are we not? And then we were like, just do it. Because I'm always like, after a championship, I'm like, I'm done. I'm going on my holidays. But we just had to get out of that routine. So yeah, I just think it was a really hot race. But the girl in lane 4, she actually pulled out. So then there was a big gap between me and Candice McLeod, who was in the final in Budapest. And I was just like, sure, look at, like, it's just the last race. So I was like, if I get to 200, just comfortable, and then like just give it what I had. And I actually nearly won the race. I thought for a second I had it, but then the last 5 meters I just died. So I ended up coming third, and when I seen that I'd ran a PB, I was just like, OMG. Like, I was just so thrilled. And the officials were trying to get me off the track, I think, for the next 40 minutes, and I was just not moving. But yeah, it was amazing. It was just one of the good days that I could end the season on.
And you talked about there the holidays, looking forward to them after the season. How do you kind of spend your off-season and downtime? I know you're back training now, but I suppose after that and until now.
Yeah, pretty much just going on holidays, you know, spending time with my friends and my family, although I was away for it all this year. It's just having a mental break for me. Like, I guess this year I kind of found it a little bit difficult, because you know you're in good shape and you think, I need to keep training because, you know, I want my body to, you know, keep this good work up. But if I didn't take a break, it would come crashing down in a couple of months' time. So, you know, you do get into the week mentality of thinking next year is a huge year. Like, I can only have 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off. And my coach, because when I'm in season, I'm like, Gary, I'm having 6 weeks off, to my coach, and he's like, okay? And he's like 5, and I'm like, okay. But then this year I was like, maybe I'll just take 3, and that's where I need the support from other people that are telling me, you actually do need the break. And now I'm so glad I had it, because I started back training this week and I was like, another week off. But yeah, I just spend time doing what I love, just relaxing, reading, drinking wine.
The way it has to be. Do you find it challenging then sort of to switch off? Because as you say, you were in such great form, and then I know what you're saying, you're trying to nearly maintain that and carry it over, but you do need the break too, obviously.
Yeah, just mentally, just to shut off is the most important thing. But once you have like a couple of days off, you don't remember running, like you just start relaxing, and then it's really hard to get back up and go again. Like this week was my first week back, and I really did struggle. I was like, when I'm training alone at the moment, because this week is so busy for me, and then my training partners have been back. They were actually back training the day I left for my last competition. So, they're like a good few weeks ahead of me. And, I only have a really small group. But I'm even like, I have to train on my own for 3 weeks, Gary. I'm not joining in, because I know I'll just be so hard on myself. But yeah.
But even the fact that you're saying that, again, it goes back to the start that like you've changed the mindset where it's like, no, that's okay, and it's completely what you'd expect coming back off the off season. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas again, it just comes down to the support that I've had to actually believe. Before I'd be like, no, that's not true, it's not true, and that's all I would believe. But now I'm a little bit more open to hearing the realities of this sport.
And then you mentioned it, a big year coming up next year. How do you kind of frame that in your mind going into it? Because obviously the setback of the last Olympics, and then going into this, you're in brilliant form. It must be exciting.
Yeah, it is for sure. But again, it's just taking one day at a time, It's like, it's a long winter, and you have to look after your body as well. Like, injuries are so common in athletics, and it's really unfortunate, but just have to keep the mind and the body strong. And there's more than the Olympics next year, which is actually really good for me, because it's not just you have to qualify for the Olympics, because we have like world indoors, and then we have world relays, and then we have Europeans, which I've already qualified for, thankfully. So I'm already like, you get to go to Rome next year. So of course it's no secret I want to go to Paris, but I already have one thing ticked off the list for next year. So I'm just going to focus on that for now. And if I run well there, of course, it opens the door for Paris. So.
Is that the way you kind of look at it then, building those incremental goals all towards, well, not even towards the Olympics, it's just every goal along the way?
Yeah, exactly, because I just can't get carried away. I think when we qualified for the Olympics in Tokyo, when I was part of the relay that qualified, you're like, everyone's like, you're going to the Olympics. My hometown had like, it was so lovely to see that I had qualified for the Olympics, but unfortunately that's not the way it goes. So you just have to kind of just forget about it. For me, I learned a lot by not going, and I think I have a lot of strength because of that. And I think that like I have a lot of bonuses kind of, because I know the struggle of not going. I don't know the high of going, which is really nice. For this year, but yeah, it's just working hard, and hopefully I can kick on.
What do you think you did learn from not going then?
I learned a lot about myself, because I put a lot of pressure on myself. That year I had ran, I think, 52-20 something, and it was like really close to going. I think, I don't know, someone with 18 went and I was 20, and then I ran 51-70 and I was the second fastest, and it was before the Olympics actually took place. So then that gave me so much confidence. I just ran, and I was just like, it doesn't really matter how I do. If I went out and I ran 60 seconds, no one would have cared. So then I realised, actually, when I don't care what people think, I'm running really good. So I actually ended up getting injured after that race, but it was nice that I could go into the next year full of confidence.
It shows you how cruel sport is as well, even that like point of a second can be the difference in complete joy or just complete disappointment.
Yeah, it's brutal, but that's why we do it as well. We just love the sport. The highs are so high and the lows are so low, but once you realise why you love it, you just stay in it. Because after Tokyo, I was moving to Dublin, I was getting a job, I was not running anymore, but once I ran my PB, it was just like, okay, I'm going to stay in Limerick, I'm going to train a little bit longer. So it's brutal, but it's also so good at the same time.
And then what keeps you in Limerick, do you think?
Not the weather. My coach is there, and I went to university there. It's just kind of where I'm based at the moment. We might look at things after the Olympics and things like that, but it's when I go on training camps, I'm just looking forward to that, and I'm that's probably what keeps me there. I was even texting my coach yesterday being like, I need to go on a training camp in like 6 weeks because I can't train in Ireland forever. And he's like, calm down, you're on week 1, like it's fine, we'll manage, we'll do something. But yeah, it's just the setup I have. And then I come to Dublin once a week as well, and you know, I train in the Institute of Sport, which is really good because I can see my S&C coach Martina, my physio Paul, and my sports psych Joanne whenever I'm there, so it's really nice.
And then just lastly, obviously looking forward to next season. You were chatting about all the lessons you learned along the way. It must be so nice as well to know, you keep mentioning it there throughout, the support of your backroom team, your family, your friends and everything. Is that what keeps you going, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And also my love of the sport, you know, but like the support that I have is second to none, you know, even like the Irish getting behind you, like from Budapest, I didn't really know how much support we had until this championship, and I think a lot of people got on board and it was just amazing. And you know, the pride that you get just from seeing how happy it makes people, and you know, even little girls, like when we were walking out of the mix zone, it was just so lovely to see that they're like so proud of you, and you just start to feel that like proud of yourself. So yeah, I think that's what keeps me going.
We had our Do It For Her campaign there recently, and exactly what you just touched on, you were talking about at the start, going onto the track and looking at all these athletes, but there's plenty of those little girls looking at you too.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. Like, I will do whatever I can for the sport, and you know, to keep young girls in it, because you know, if I didn't stay in it, I wouldn't be here. And it's just things like that. Like, I was never good growing up. Like, I was pretty bad at running. I was just going just to chat to my friends, and then you know, I started to take it a little bit more seriously. I got a little bit better and things like that. So you just, the more you stick into it, the more you actually realise, you know, do I love it, do I not? Like, and I happen to love it, and I only found that out when I was maybe like 16, 17. So, and here I am at 25, the old age of 25.
The limits are endless. Well, anyways, we're here in Zambrero today just to close out. Can you tell us a bit more about the initiative you mentioned at the start?
Yeah, so we're here for World Hunger Day. It's really nice. Like, I love working with Zambrero because they, for every burrito or bowl that's bought, they give back a plate to a person in need. So it's just a really nice initiative. And I got on board last year as well. And last year we packed 30,000 meals for people in need for the third world countries. And this year we're actually stepping it up. We're not even doubling it. We're going to 80,000. So we're very ambitious, but I'm sure we're going to be able to do it. And it's just amazing that we're, you know, I'm able to give back a little bit as well. And I just think the campaign itself is so good, and I'm delighted to be involved with it.
And there is still sign-ups available until this Sunday, of course.
Yeah, there's still sign-ups available. So there's links on Zambrero's Instagram page, I'm sure on their Twitter, on every social media possible. And I often share it to my story as well. So if people want to come on Sunday, that would be absolutely great. I'll be there with Stacey Flood and Grode Hegarty as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, best of luck for it, and we'll be cheering you on anyways next year.
Thanks so much, guys, for everything you do.
Thank you.